and we're going to let a lot of people come in because we need more people, especially with AI coming and all of the different things, and the farmers need, everybody needs. But we're going to make sure that they're not murderers, killers, drug dealers, and the kind of people that we have largely coming in right now.
Everybody at Red Top Report loves Donald Trump, but if he doesn't get rid of his campaign managers that are taking him down a GOP pit to defeat, he's in big trouble. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Red Top Report. I am your host, Joe Enders, and oh my gosh, Donald Trump, what's happening? Slipping in the polls. Slipping in the betting odds. We have some problems here, guys, and we have to work out those problems. And personally, I think that it's because the GOP has a different strategy of how to win America over than Donald Trump has traditionally had. Now, if we think about Donald Trump back in 2016, he was all about non-college educated whites in the Rust Belt. He was all about capturing that Midwest vote. That's why he was able to flip these crucial states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and that's really what propelled him to victory back then. Now, it's true that he's made huge gains in Florida. It's now a hard red state. It's true that he's made huge gains in, Ohio is another one. Ohio is basically a red state now. So what I think that the problem is that he has these horrible campaign leaders right now, and it's because they're telling him to start moving away from pushing for these red state votes, basically abandoning those non-college educated whites in the Rust Belt to focus more on capturing a wider spread of the Hispanic and black votes. Here's Susie Wilds, one of Trump's top campaign advisors, talking about it.
We knew going into this election that it really was time to change the Republican coalition. The traditional Republican voter coalition just simply can't, I don't believe, elect Republicans any longer.
So what she's specifically talking about there, this traditional Republican coalition of voters. Oh, and by the way, guys, Charlie's here with us. He's our new Ronin. So
Charlie here on the Ronin cam.
The Ronin cam. Well, should we just keep calling it that?
Yeah,
I don't know, whatever. But we'll figure it out anyways. You need to give us your money. And you can give us your money by switching to Subscribestar because YouTube has demonetized us. Please click that Subscribestar link in the description to support all the work we do to bring you the best Catholic culture war content on the internet. And again, guys, we super appreciate all the support that you throw our way. And once again, we need your money in order to keep this show going so we can keep bringing you content that you love. I'll see you on the site. The point of what we're seeing here is that what does she mean by traditional Republican coalition of voters? She's talking about the Rust Belt voters from 2016.
Yeah, completely.
And they're trying to move away from that. Now, listen to what she says next.
So beginning to bring into the tent a larger number of Hispanic voters, certainly making it palatable for African Americans to think. We've talked to, we looked at vastly different voter groups than we had before. We talked to them, we understood what was important to them, we honored their traditions, and I'm happy to say, proud to say that it worked.
She's talking about specifically in Florida, and we're not against reaching out to, Hispanics in places like Florida, Nevada, or Arizona, a place where there's actually a substantial Hispanic population, and they are kind of on the issues or whatever. But the main focus of the campaign, this is somebody that Trump brought in to handle the national campaign. Are we shifting away from our 2016 messaging here? Seems like we are.
Before the show, we were talking about this, and I was telling you, I'm kind of not 100% with you on this, but you made a really good point. 2% of the white vote is equal to how much?
Almost 20% of the Hispanic vote. I mean, of the black vote, I think is what it is.
So I wasn't thinking of it in those terms.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous It's a ridiculous dichotomy. I mean, we should be focusing on capturing those white Rust Belt voters, these, non-college educated whites. They are ride or die Trump supporters. These are people watching rural America collapse because of fentanyl that comes in across the border. These are people that saw all their manufacturing jobs outsourced over to China. These are people that have been suffering as a result of the Democrats. And immigration has always been a huge part of their woes, and foreign influence and legal immigration. And that's a key element to this entire thing. Now, the reason that I think that the Republicans and the GOP, not Trump, I love Trump. I don't think that this is Trump's doing. I think that this is Trump trusting the word of GOP advisors, trying to do something they've been trying to do for a very long time. And that's sacrifice the issue of cutting back on legal immigration and deporting illegal immigrants to be more inviting to a pathway to citizenship. And in the sense of it, as a Republican, me being a white Republican from the Rust Belt, Charlie being a white Republican from the Rust Belt, I mean, that's just who we are. They're basically saying you are to be replaced by Hispanic voters. Your influence, your needs are to be replaced by the needs of Hispanic voters. The more legal immigration we allow in here, it doesn't matter if it's legal immigration in Texas, that comes through Texas, they eventually make their way out to these communities. They eventually take jobs. They eventually cheapen labor and lower wages across the entire nation. And that's a big problem for all these people living in the Rust Belt. A lot of them are union workers. A lot of these people are used to having benefits and good pay and used to having that ripped away from them, only to be replaced with crappy service jobs that, pay you like $12 to $13 an hour. Newsflash, guys, the price of a house on average in the United States right now, you got to make like $115,000 a year to buy. So people are in trouble right now. These people in the Rust Belt are suffering right now. Young people are suffering right now, all across the country. So shifting your message over to Hispanics in favor of things like legal immigration isn't going to help. And we'll get to that in a minute. The reason they're doing this is because they want to preserve Texas, that titan that's worth 40 electoral votes.
Don't you dare take the name of Texas in vain.
Now, if you can put some stuff up, this is why they want to appeal to Hispanics more than anything else on the national level. And this is what the GOP has been doing for the longest time. Hispanics officially make up the biggest share of Texas's population, new census numbers show. White people had been the state's largest population group since at least 1850. Sometime in 2022, the Hispanic population surpassed them, new data shows. Republicans are scared. They're scared of losing Texas, the juggernaut, their big electoral state, to win. But they need to realize this is an inevitability. This is an inevitability that cannot be avoided by any stretch of the imagination. And the Democrats are already aware of this. They're already publishing articles about this. Look at this. A blue Texas is in reach, September 20th, 2023. And this entire article, you can go read it for yourselves. I'm not going to blather on about it, but their whole point is that, look, Hispanics are taking over. And yes, it's because of illegal immigration. And before you say, the illegal immigrants can't vote, they can't do this, they can have kids and they can instill Democrat values into those kids, and then those kids can vote. They're called anchor babies. We've talked about it for the longest time. When you have 25 million people coming into the country, roughly, illegally, and a lot of them coming in through Texas and other border states, yes, they're going to come in, they're going to have kids, so they have that anchor baby to keep them here, because otherwise you're separating families. So now we have this blue Texas that's now in reach. Let me show you something that will change your entire view of American electoral politics. This is your future in 2030 for Republicans, guys. This is the only possible way that you can reach victory, because this is inevitability. The Hispanics are going to take over and they're going to vote blue. This is what we're looking at, guys. This is our only path to victory. Notice the states that I believe need to be flipped. We need to flip Virginia, and we need to flip Minnesota, and we need to dominantly control the Rust Belt. That includes Wisconsin, that includes Michigan, that includes Pennsylvania, North Carolina, all of them. It needs to stay that way. I'm not so worried about Georgia, guys, because Georgia has the political machine of the Republican Party making sure that it stays red. I actually believe that it's not as much of a swing state. I think that Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp made a deal to try to get Trump out of the White House back in 20. That's a long story, but I think that it's going to stay red a lot longer than people think. Texas is going to go blue. New Mexico is going to stay blue. As a matter of fact, it's going to get more blue. Arizona is going to go blue. Nevada is going to go blue because Mexicans are going to move north. Hispanics are going to move north. I should say Mexican Americans are going to move north into Nevada. They are going to transform fundamentally the demographics of that state. It's going to become more blue in the long run. Minnesota is probably not. That is a state that is 79% white. Wisconsin, 80% white. Michigan, 77% white, I believe. Virginia, 70% white. I think it's like 69.5, but we'll round up. 70% white. Pennsylvania, another one, in the 74% white range. These are the voters that elected Donald Trump. He is reliably counted on these people in the past, in 2016. That's what propelled him to victory. All of this white working class in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, and even in Minnesota. Minnesota is a very flippable state. It's a very flippable state, guys. We just need to cater to the needs of those people and nationally prioritize them above all else. This could be the political reality if we move forward, because immigration has fundamentally changed all of the border states, and it will not stop because we've already let too many in. If you don't believe me, let's pull this up. Take a look at this. This is Nevada. Nevada's growing Latino population may impact key state in upcoming election. Let's take a look at Arizona. Arizona's Latino population accounted for 39.1% of the state's population growth during that decade, according to the National Association of Latino Elected Officials Education Fund. There are 2.3 million Latinos in Arizona, according to the 2021 U.S. Census Bureau data, up from nearly 2 million in 2010 and 1.3 million in 2000. Latinos make up about 33% of Arizona's total population of nearly 7.4 million, up from nearly 30% in 2010 and 25% in 2000. But Joe, what if we make them Republicans? What if we turn them on all those things? There are some issues that it's been clear consistently throughout the entire existence of a substantial Hispanic population in the United States that they have been advocates for lax legal immigration policies and lax illegal immigration enforcement. Enforcing illegal immigration laws, getting those people out, deporting all of them. The Hispanic voters in America, even the ones that vote Republican, still have lesser views towards enforcing immigration law in the United States of America and curbing legal immigration into the country. So if the Republican Party were to, by some stretch of the imagination, go out there and turn all these Republican voters red, it's going to come with concessions. And that concession is going to be illegal immigration, something that directly hurts that core white Rust Belt vote. Legal immigration is the problem. It's directly affecting them. You have two opposites. And what we're hearing from Susie Wilds is that they're choosing the Hispanics over the whites in the Rust Belt. And personally, I think that is catastrophic for Republicans, because we will have no party that believes in curbing legal immigration that's taking people's jobs in the Rust Belt and across the country. We have no party now enforcing the idea of mass deportations of criminals that came across our border. And I say criminals because 100% of illegal immigrants in this country came into this country illegally and broke the law. They're criminals, all of them. But we're just going to let them get away with it. I'm sorry, I don't believe in that. I don't. Charlie, do you believe in that?
No, they're breaking the law coming in. Yeah, we have a border. We have laws.
We have a border. We have laws, and there are consequences for crossing that border. Put up that map again. I want to see that map again. The people in all those Rust Belt states that are going to have to be turned before Texas inevitably turns blue, before that happens, we're going to turn our backs on those people? What happens when Texas turns blue? It's over. You better not ever count on another Republican ever being elected again after that happens. If you cannot capture that white Rust Belt vote in the amount of time before, and this is 20, 30 years, guys. This is right down the road. If we don't capture that and we don't make this a nice Republican area over in the Rust Belt, if we don't represent, if we're shilling for legal immigration, which those people don't want, which they view as predatory to their way of life, we're in for the worst electoral defeats to the Democrats in the future. And frankly, I think that is a horrible plan. This is why I think that we need to fire Susie Wilds for even proposing such a plan on a national level. And you can see it in his rhetoric. He does not talk about the Rust Belt nearly as much as he talks about how good he's been for Hispanics and African Americans. He went to the National Association for Black Journalists, for goodness sake.
A lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for. A lot of the journalists in this room are black.
Now that was funny, I'm not going to lie, but still. And we can go back now, and and if you don't believe me that Americans are against legal immigration, I mean, good grief, take a look at this. Sharply more Americans want to curb immigration to the U.S. 55% want immigration levels reduced. That is the highest amount of Americans that have supported this. And by this is July 12th, 2024. Since 2001. That's a 23-year high. Where do you think that the bulk of that number is coming from? It's not coming from Texas. It's not coming from Nevada. It's not coming from Arizona. Guess what, guys? It's coming from the Rust Belt. So anyways, let's move on. And if you don't believe me, I can prove to you the numbers on Hispanics are bad. Put this up. Latinos are more likely than any other Americans to say easier access. This includes blacks, by the blacks and whites, and all the other ethnic groups, Arabs, Asians, all of them. Latinos are more likely than other Americans to say easier access to work for asylum seekers waiting for their application decision will help the border situation. Hispanics think that it's better 57% as opposed to only 44% of the general population of the United States of America. And it gets worse than even that, guys. This is making it easier for asylum seekers to work legally while they wait for a decision about their asylum applications. 57%, since they should be able to work. They should be able to take an American's job while they're waiting for their asylum application to go through. What are we doing? 57% as opposed to 44% of Americans, meaning a majority of Hispanics and a minority of every other ethnic group in America. But much less likely to say increasing deportations or expanding the U.S.-Mexico border wall will help. This is insane to me. Increasing deportations of people who are in the country illegally, 33% say that will make things better, as opposed to 55% of these other ethnic groups in the United States of America, non-Hispanics in America. 55% as opposed to 33%. Once again, a majority think that deportations will help. A minority of Hispanics think it will. Yeah, that should be concerning to you. Making it harder for asylum seekers to be granted temporary legal status in the U.S. while they wait for their asylum hearing. Listen to this. Hispanics, 29% think that would make things better. 29% thinks that will make things better. Meanwhile, 40% of the U.S. population does. That is a massive gap. Looking to this, putting more severe penalties on businesses if they hire people who are not legally allowed to work in the U.S. In other words, should we punish companies who hire criminals to work for them against the law? No, only 28% of Hispanics think that's going to make things better. That's going to make things better for immigrants. Meanwhile, 48% of Americans, with mind you, 19% saying not make much difference. At that, that's insane. That is an insane margin. Substantially expanding the wall across the U.S. border with Mexico. Hispanics, 26% think a border wall would make things better. 45% of non-Hispanics think otherwise. This is who we're catering to right now. Oh, and it gets worse. Here's some 2021 numbers for you on legal immigration. This should really shock you. Allow immigrants who came to U.S. illegally as children to stay and apply for legal status. 85% of Hispanics say it is very or somewhat important for U.S. immigration policy to allow immigrants who came into the U.S. illegally as children to stay and apply for legal status. Illegal immigrants getting citizenship is what that is. That came as kids. We give them citizenship. That's 85% of Hispanics support that. Establish a way for most immigrants in U.S. illegally to stay legally. 83% of Hispanics support that. We call that a pathway to citizenship. That's what they want. They want Democrat immigration reform from when Obama was president, because that's what Obama would have pushed for. He wanted the amnesty. He wanted the pathway to citizenship for all of them. These are Democrat talking points that they overwhelmingly, 83% is a big number, overwhelmingly support. Should we encourage more highly skilled individuals to immigrate and work in the U.S.? 70% of Hispanics say yes. That includes more legal immigration. They support this. 55% of Americans don't support this. That's a big deal. These numbers matter, guys. Increased deportations of immigrants currently in the country illegally. Only 45% support that. 45%, that's a minority of Hispanics want these people deported. Criminals. People who thought that our border was nothing but a nice little paper wall that they could kick down and just come in and wreak havoc across our country, take jobs across our country, hurt the American people all across the land, especially the people in the Rust Belt who already had a bunch of their jobs sent overseas. We're going to sacrifice. Put up the map again. We're going to sacrifice that whole Rust Belt for that? I'm not going to do that. Frankly, I'm not going to do that. And by the way, his campaign has much bigger problems than just, Susie Wilds and this. He also has a guy that the other campaign manager on staff, Chris LaCivita. The guy isn't even loyal to Trump. Look at this. He's liking a tweet saying, "We are witnessing domestic terrorism on January 6th. And here's another tweet that he liked where it says, "Twitter locked real Donald Trump for 12 hours. Now the cabinet needs to lock him down for the next 14 days. 25th Amendment now." He wanted to put Trump in jail for January 6th. This is his campaign manager right now. And by the way, guys, yeah, he doesn't believe that the 2020 election was stolen either. He is going against every single thing that Trump highlighted during his campaign. He's not a Trump loyalist. When you have these two people like Susie Wilds and LaCivita at the head of the campaign, it runs you into a very, very dangerous place. You have one who is a woman trying to fundamentally transform the demographics of the Republican Party towards a more legal immigration-focused party. And you also, and by the way, they've been doing this for a long time. They tried doing it with Romney. It didn't work. They tried doing it with McCain. It didn't work. Trump comes in, flips the script, actually represents what the Republican Party base has been calling for the longest time, and he wins. 2020, they steal the election. And now in 2024, it's like we're forgetting that we wanted to curb legal immigration. Trump curbed legal immigration during his term. There's plenty of evidence of it. So, and then we have as his other campaign advisor, somebody who is literally like treasonous, trying to put him in jail for questioning the results of the election, which he is correct about. Charlie, this is just crazy to me.
Yeah, and, ideally, you want to have every strategy in the book. You want to be able to get every demographic. But, there's only so much time, so much effort you can put into your strategy.
And you can't sacrifice the base.
Yeah, and you have to prioritize your strategies. And, ignoring the base, not good. This is making sense to me, for sure.
These are the people that Hillary Clinton called deplorables. It's why all the education's geared towards the hatred of white males. It's why all the immigration has to be from third world countries and not from European countries. It's why all of this stuff is coming to a head right now, because it's just another facet of what, the left calls great replacement theory, which is some white supremacist nonsense. Okay, why do all of our immigrants have to be H-1Bs from third world countries then? Why can't it be high-skilled European laborers? Good grief, if we had like an influx of German engineers coming into the United States of America, wouldn't have a problem with that. But we don't get that.
Do you think Trump is thinking that he already has the base in his pocket? And if so, do you think that would be the wrong thing to think?
Yeah, it's absolutely the wrong thing to think. These people only recently flipped to Trump in 2016. They were a kind of a moderate, both parties kind of thing, and the Republicans more represented this corporate ideology, this anti-union ideology, this more legal immigrants ideology. Like all these things, these were not geared towards these types of voters. Trump has entirely flipped the script on that with his 2016 run. And the less that he focuses on it, the less he doesn't do as well. His base isn't as invigorated. They're not going to the polls. They're not going to go to the polls as often. Trump needs to I hate to say this, but the Republicans ought to accept as a political reality. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't try. Like, you should campaign in, Texas, and we should definitely campaign. Texas is still a red state. It will be probably for a couple more elections. It's gonna go purple though, and then it's gonna go blue eventually. There's no stopping that from happening. And the same is going to be true for Arizona more quickly, and the same for Nevada quickly. When I look at states like Arizona is already a blue state, but it's gonna become more blue every election cycle. And if you look at, Nevada, I mean, we can campaign there. We can try to work with, the Hispanic base in that state, tell people that we've been doing things. I'm not against catering to those people in those states, but on a national level, prioritizing, like capturing this giant Hispanic demographic in the country and like, shilling legal immigration. Trump said he wanted to staple green cards to diplomas. That's not what the Rust Belt wants to hear.
Yeah. And you think the fact that Ohio went so red in the last couple of elections is kind of evidence that this is probably a good,
And of the Rust Belt states, the most, I don't know what the term is, the most Rust Belty of Rust Belt states is Ohio.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's the heart.
Yeah.
That's really the core of what people think of when they think of the Rust Belt is Ohio. And then and then obviously the next would be Pennsylvania, and then Michigan and Wisconsin. You can think of that type of I mean, Illinois, obviously. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, that. Good luck. But the rest, yeah. I mean, there is a profound opportunity here, all the way to Minnesota, to have these non-college educated white states where that's heavy, turn out and vote, not be these moderates anymore because they don't really know which way to go, because one side, the Democrats, are claiming to recognize organized labor and want tariffs and things like that. Well, we could be doing that same thing. We need to turn the Democrats into the party of globalists and special interests. That's what 2016 was all about for Trump. And I just have not heard that rhetoric lately.
Oh, they're the warmongers. They're the corporate interests.
Yeah.
They're the corrupt party.
That's what is that not something that really made you excited to vote for Trump as a Rust Belt voter, as me as well?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that voting for the non-warmongering candidate is kind of on par with abortion. It is for me. Abortion is murder, and warmongering is results in murder.
And let's think about this for a second. What is Trump consistent? We've been talking about bombing Iran for how long now? Like what is this? Trump was against the whole thing. The Iraq war was a big fat mistake.
Yeah.
Like that was all huge. These were huge moments. These were things that captured the attention of Rust Belt voters. He didn't talk about right to work all the time, about destroying unions. He talked about we're going to renegotiate trade deals with China. We're going to bring our manufacturing jobs back. All those Rust Belt voters were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not going to die unemployed. My town isn't going to become a ghost town. There's employment coming our way." That whole message, it's a combined set of policies. And that combined set of policies is what created the miracle of 2016. And it was a miracle, guys. Like Trump was given, what was it, he was given like a 7% chance of beating Hillary Clinton.
I remember it being less than that. And then overnight, it, of course, completely flipped, which was amazing to watch.
These Rust Belt voters came out of the woodwork and formed a bastion. And this is what we call the MAGA base. This is the basket of deplorables. These are the people that, put FJB flags on their properties in front of their house. These are just heartland Americans. And I just don't think that turning our backs on them is the best solution. So guys, I think that's all I got for this episode. I think that you guys should still support Trump, but I think that one of the things we need to do to support Trump is to save Trump. So one of the things that we got to do, guys, we've got to do this. We got to tell him that we need to fire Susie Wilds. We need to fire Chris LaCivita. We need to fire these people that are not loyal to Trump or loyal to Trump's base. We need to get them out of there, make them stop changing the messaging. We don't want war with Iran. We don't want war with Russia. We don't want, jobs shipped overseas. We don't want more illegal immigration. We don't want any of that nonsense. We want America first. So by putting Americans first, by putting the Rust Belt in a laser focus, Trump's base, the people that love this country, that want to see it to go back to the way that it was before the immigrant invasion into the United States of America, then we need to get rid of these people, because they are going the exact same direction that the GOP tried to take John McCain and Mitt Romney, and it will not work. We will lose. We're going to lose Texas. Get over it. It's happening. And with that said, guys, that's all we got for this episode. We will catch you next time on Red Top Report. God bless you.